everybody knows everybody at this point, so that's really easy. So I run the RILA for District 6510 for Southern Illinois. Most everybody knows Interstate 70 runs across the country. It cuts off the southern third of Illinois. It's a relatively small district from what I've learned. Both population and Rotarians, we're just over 1,600. We only have 54 clubs. And geographically, it's just a third of Illinois, which is not a big state. So in all terms of the word, it is a very small district. And I've learned maybe that's some of the reasons why we have some of the things we do. So as I'm going to present, the first thing I'm also going to say is, this is our RILA that we used to have. And after 3 days here, we're going to have a new RILA. I've got pages and pages of notes, so that's going to go. So here's the state of the union of what we have now. Started in 1996, about 18 years ago. One of the things moving forward is we're going to have junior RILA start for our 20th anniversary. And then of RILA, and then we're gonna, right now we target 60 students and 6 student leaders. So we use the term student leader. I've heard junior counselors and other terms, but we use student leader as a term. And those are individuals who have been to RILA one time, and they only participate as a student leader currently one time. Also things that are changing. A very broad group. It is incoming freshmen through incoming seniors. Very rarely do we have a senior. We usually try to catch somebody, and the focus is this. We want to build leaders who are going to impact their local high schools. One of the things with being a relatively rural district in Southern Illinois, our towns, people, they grow up, they go to high school, and they want to get out. They want to go to the city. They want to go to St. Louis or Chicago or Louisville or somewhere else. So we say, if we're going to invest money in it, let's get an impact in the local high school. Their interact clubs, their student councils, their key clubs, and that's where a lot of our focus is, and why we've done as young as freshmen. We also we have several schools that have a freshman-only campus, which kind of is a unique high school dynamic. So with that, and then the primary is facilitation of 2 adult professionals. That's also going to get phased away. I've been looking at that even before I came. But we pay 2 individuals that are amazingly dynamic individuals. They do most of the facilitation. I don't like that we spend $1,500 on doing it. I inherited that program. They're really good, but what I recognize is we can replace them if everybody else is doing so. One of the guys, when I talk about dynamic individuals, he taught school for 30 years. He's the only coach in the history of Illinois State High School to lead 4 different sports to a state title. So he knows how to motivate and work with youth. He was also a motivational team developer for the 1988 U.S. Olympic hockey team. So he gets those things. He does a great job, but I think we can get some great students that can do just as good of a job with his program. And then with that, we have a very short program. I say 3 days, 2 nights. It's 46 hours when I looked at it yesterday.
Wow.
It is from 4 o'clock on Friday until 2 o'clock on Sunday. It's not long enough, so we're going to make that a lot longer. I'll do a church camp with a low ropes course.
And those sleep allowed in your 40?
Well, it is not a lot of stuff. We go. I don't have our schedule. One of the things I think is a little bit different, and again, I was told to do this by the facilitators. We do not give a schedule, and I know one other group said they don't know.
We don't give a schedule.
We don't give a schedule to any students. We believe it's kind of an in the moment, so they know you're doing this now. When that's done, we tell them where they're going to go and what they're going to do next, but they have absolutely no idea what they're doing next.
Neither do we, that's why we don't have a schedule, just in case things change.
The good thing is, if I need to impromptu or change, they don't know I'm
Yeah,
stuck.
exactly. Awesome. They have no idea that we screwed everything up.
So I think that's what we're going to stick with, and it's good to hear other people are doing the same thing. So we believe in this it's results-focused training, and it's 4 characteristics of success. And our leaders, our facilitators, developed this. Those 4 characteristics are the willingness to risk, committed to integrity, determined to take a stand, and a sense of passion. And we focus these items, they're on the shirts that they give to RILA. We focus on these points, and our entire system is developed on developing these 4 characteristics of success. Now with that, we also focus a lot with the 4-way test. We say the 4-way test led by a student before every meal. We give them the 4-way test card like most do. We really want them to tie, how do those characteristics tie into Rotary? And with one of those being a commitment to integrity, it ties in very closely with so much of the 4-way test. All right, so our team building model is really the foundation for the program. And the way that works is we have a type of activity that focuses on one of those areas of success. So the way that works is we start with awareness and icebreakers. These are the very most basic, just that, icebreakers and getting to know people. And the focus here is a willingness to take risks. I just want to get to know people so that I'm willing to take a risk. If I don't know you, I'm not going to risk in any capacity. So that's where we start with that. And at each of these, we're also processing, and that's that piece in the middle. Next set of activities really takes I'm willing to take a risk. Now I have to build that trust in everybody to do so. and the communication that helps build the trust with that. And then that really focuses next is, hey, I have to be committed to integrity. The only way you can trust me is if you have complete confidence in my integrity. Problem solving, critical thinking is pretty straightforward. These are a lot of our activities. We are very much activities based. We have only one speaker, that's a district governor, for about 20 minutes. Everything else is activities based, and those problem solving and critical thinking activities are the focus of that. And that focuses on really being determined to take a stand. And what we find is we see these small groups, leaders develop who say, just like when we did the egg drop, in our table I said, hey, I've done this, I think I know, I took a stand in that team building activity. Other people for the activity Crossing Space, they knew that and they were willing to take a stand, and that really ties back into all those. Finally, is a transfer to life. How can they bring these back home? And with that is, that develops a sense of passion. If there's something you take out of this program, it doesn't have to be the same as everybody, but utilize that to develop your passion. The rest is really just pictures that ties together what we do. So this is the first activity, and I guess I'll segue to this to let you know, our facilitators don't ever utilize a time where they introduce their names. The kids just get to know their names, but we never do a my name is so-and-so and I'm from so-and-so. And they'll do 2 or 3 hours of activities before they haven't even had a chance to talk to people about their names, and they're not yet in small groups. We don't do small groups until actually late in the first evening. This is one that's just very based on just getting used to touching each other. And we focus on, hey, later in a ropes course, you're going to have to touch each other. If you kind of, it's like a patty cake game. All of a sudden you break down just a barrier. I don't know that guy. There's a shy boy who's just uncomfortable holding hands with this girl he doesn't know. And so if we can break those basic barriers down, we do so. And then the next one, I mentioned somebody else said they do the car game. This is what we do. And this is where we start with eyes open and their hands on their shoulders, driving the car around. And it works to the end of this car game as we do step by step to build trust. Their hands are off their shoulders. They're just behind them. Their eyes are closed. The bumpers are up. And it's a unique way that we use, their hands go on the shoulder to stop them. When the hands come off, that kid's moving. And that really starts to build that level of trust. And of course, we play with it. We switch the driver, and now you don't know who's behind you, and how do you feel that just a little bit of discomfort with that. The next one is kind of a piece. Late in this activity, we tie in the importance of situational awareness and understanding what's around you. So what this activity is your driver drives you around and you take a picture of what's in front of you. So at one point, they tap your head, you open your eyes for just a split second, close your eyes, and then you do that 3 times, you go back and you have to figure out then what were the 3 places that you were taken. And the goal of our facilitators is to say, hey, can I very quickly assess where I was and what my surroundings are? We joke a lot of times, did you look or did you guy look? And it's really not the same when guys look for something. So one of the things we'll do is I'll stand right up against somebody before they open the shutters of their camera, and they'll take that picture, and they try to, what did they see with the camera an inch from their face? All right.
So this is for doing that, do you say, stop, take a picture, or how do you?
So they'll have the person's shoulders, they'll walk them around, and they'll stop them where they want to stop them, and then they tap their head. When they tap their head, the person opens their eyes and closes their eyes.
Oh, so it's the driver who's telling them to do that. As
the driver,
so
we call him now the photographer.
Nope. Okay.
The photographer and the camera is now their new titles.
Okay.
But it would just segue right from the driver and the car activity. And there is a lot of trust, because in the driver activity, no blindfolds, just close your eyes. This activity, open, close them very quickly. So we want to empower, hey, we're going to tell you this is what's going to make the best activity. We're not going to put a blindfold on and say, we don't trust you to keep your eyes closed. We trust you, and give us your best activity back.
That's very cool.
So the other one, I tied this one in here because I heard people talk about Myers-Briggs and True Colors. I heard another one that was handed to me that didn't necessarily have a name. We use a personality system called psychogeometry. And so it utilizes these 5 shapes that the woman that wrote this book and developed this program believes that these shapes tie into someone's core personality characteristics. We introduced this before we really dive into the team activities. And the belief system is that as in situational leadership, you need to understand how to lead people differently, how to react to different people in different ways. And so we want everybody to know, what am I and what are the other people like? And then I just have one of the examples for you, but it's called psychogeometry. If you want to look it up, it's pretty good online. This is a squiggle, sheer energy, lots of enthusiasm, right brain. They're truly an idea person. And if you think about that shape and what that very artistic, maybe they've got blue streaks in their hair, and they've done some different stuff. It fits with a squiggly line. And the other shapes very much fit with the personality traits of those areas. So it just goes pretty well, and it's a fun shape. And then later we'll talk about, hey, who are my squiggles? Did you use them to come up with ideas for your activity? All right, now we dive in. This is Saturday morning, and that was all Friday night. So we're diving Saturday morning right into the ropes course. Some of the activities are very physical, and our facilitators there have a lot of fun with it because, of course, we always have 10 big football players. And as soon as they try to use their strength to solve the problems, they'll cut their arms off or cut their legs off or make them blind. So we also then have some great mental challenges just to make sure we're covering all sides of the spectrum with those activities. This is really the highlight for most of the kids of the event. We eat a lot. We have a great dining facility there, but we need to figure out how to shave some costs on that one. And then this idea of when we talk about how do we relate it to the real world and real life, this is called Road Wars, and it's a very interactive negotiation game. You can kind of see in the top picture, there's 4 teams that they've divided up, so then now outside of their core small groups, each team has a road builder, a person on the ground, a president, a person in the front, and everybody behind. Only the presidents can talk to each other. Only the road builders can only talk to their president. So there's a lot of rules, and the goal is simply to build as many roads as you can into the other people's countries. All roads must start within your own country. You have to get permission to cross borders, permission to cross roads, and to build bridges. So it really gets into negotiation. How do you negotiate with someone that's a different personality than yourself? We'll have presidents be overthrown by their country. We'll have road builders replaced because they're not painting aggressively enough. It gets a little messy. This is kind of midpoint. Later, there's paint everywhere. We do a great debriefing. Sometimes we don't count roads that they would have liked, and we talk about fairness in life. But it ends up being a really good activity to talk about, politics of life in the real world and how you can take these skills that you learn and equate them back. The very last activity we do is a Tinker Toys activity. We give them these big buckets of Tinker Toys. Each of the small groups will go and pick one. Each person will pick one Tinker Toy they feel identifies with themselves. The team will build an individual structure. So this is actually a bunch of the structures that have been built for each of the small teams. Each person will say why they chose that piece. So often, the circle here will be that they held everybody else together, and they were a connecting person. Or somebody else they were the eyes of kind of watching everything else that was going, or maybe they were a foundation piece. And so they identify all those. And then the team leaders will actually put all of these pieces together and make one large piece and talk about how all those small group teams come together in one big group. So that's kind of our culmination. This is Sunday afternoon, right before we go. And this is our delights. It's a small group, but these are our student leaders in the back and our kids.
That's how many?
60 kids, 6 student leaders. So everything we do, we always do increments of 11 with 10 in a small group and 1 student leader.
Jason, I've got to say that I know you do the 60 kids for $12,000. That's astonishing. You cram a lot of really creative stuff in here. My hat's off to you, dude. This is awesome.
So I think it's a great program. We have a lot of room. We can add some more good stuff.
And there's
And I mean, this year, the good thing is I don't publish a schedule, so I just publish the dates. This year, I'm gonna already slide it back to noon on Friday and go till 4 on Sunday. I've already given clubs the dates, but I didn't give them times. So
That's Bobby,
Some more time.
schedule.
thank you.